Welcome back to the Lips Tube.
No one gets out. Get ready to die.
Today we're taking a look at the juiciest hog in the jungle. This is the NECA Toys Predator Concrete Jungle Deluxe Stoneheart Predator. And this video goes out to my boy Kevlar. He's always like, you should take a closer look at those predators. Whatever inspired those guys to go back and create like a boss character from a 2005 Xbox game, I don't know. But let's stop cowering in terror and take a closer look.
You're rushing, honey. You're gonna choke.
It is an absolutely impressive specimen. NECA Toys has a reputation for quality of sculpt and paint, and this thing is no exception. This is just disgusting to look at. Look at this guy. They've cut his dreads. This was a boss in a video game from like 2005, and they had basically captured and repurposed this guy to kick your ass. Anyway, we were tightening up on the face here, and it's just really incredible detail. Look at those eyes. Imagine if one was off. Wouldn't that just be terrible? Well, we're up here on the top of the dome. You can see this separation here and this little plastic, what have you. That's because this sucker pops off. You wrestle 3 preposterously tiny batteries in there. You can turn this on. Put his wig back. Look at that. Look at it have a hell of a time focusing on that. No, that is really nice. More would be cool, but this is simple and effective, and how often are most people gonna rock that, you know what I mean? We get closer up here to the mandibles, and we'll go further into this in the accessory section, but these suckers pop off. Look, we're just gonna have to deactivate that, or it'll keep drawing the focus. Yeah. And so you have an extra set of mandibles that we'll get into in a minute. But then you can actually articulate the lower jaw a little bit, up, down, what have you. And look at this. It's got this nice wet look inside there. Detail work it's just killer. It really is. Now coming down the sucker, you can see they've got these like turbines on his back here that power all of these enhancements. And they're just like stuck in the back here. There's all this gore, you know. These hoses are malleable, but they are, of course, going to restrict your arm movement. I don't know that they're removable, but I'm afraid it's just like one way. You might break these. That's how NECA would run the thing. And these keep falling off. They just pour it into the gauntlet. Very simple, effective, but you want to pose him up and then pop those in. I just had them on for the effect, of course. Look at this awesome detailing in the sculpt here. The upper arm, it's a single piece. Ball-socketed shoulders. And they're going to come up to a T. Pretty famously here, you can see that hinge underneath. But you're not going to be able to rotate that here. This thing is going to stop you wherever. I mean, rotate it, go crazy. Tear that hose right out of there. See what happens. And then we have the 3-part arm deal that they do. So you're going to get this much at the elbow. And that's pretty good for all this going on. This bracer deal is a separate piece that'll rotate around on the arm. And it has some really nice sculpted detail all over the thing. Extra bits of paint all in the crevices. How cool is that? And these hands with more claws on the hands that are really nicely sculpted here. Little nails sticking out. And I mean, look how clean the hits are too. It's not just a bunch of muddy trash everywhere. These wrists are going to be hinged, and you'll be able to bring them down a little and back a little. They are restricted by this. And here's where they've sort of cored him out.
You're coring out my guts.
We've got this nice piece of diaphragm articulation that'll rock side to side pretty well. You don't really get a lot of forward or back, but you get some. It does move. They've cut it, they've put it together. You don't get completely what you would at breakfast, but you get a good meal. Gonna have some waist swivel down here. It's almost like it's just socketed in there, but it just doesn't want to twist or move really. So he's back for more. You have this nice little crotch piece here with a light blue just to help sort of replicate this, but these are a clear plastic, and so it's not perfect. But when that one's lit up, it works. This looks like it would light up, but it does not, will not. It has ball jointed legs though that come out to the sides. Brace yourself for the noise. They're very loud, very stiff, heavy ratchets. I don't even see the ratchets there. It's freaking scary to move this around. They feel like they're gonna break. They come out like this, they come back like this. And they have all this really great sculpted detail in them. And texturing, and if you look here at this angle, I mean, look at that. It's all raised and jagged. Just gross to have to touch and, make love to this guy. Ugh. His poor wife. Coming around the back here, he's got this little butt cloth and some sculpted detail on the back of this belt. And this is a softer piece here. Sort of an overlay on what's ultimately a hard plastic. What have they done to you, son? Down here at the knee, there is like a third separate knee piece that'll bend all together. It'll come back like this, which isn't too shabby for all of this bulk and this meat here, and it doesn't look that weird. You have this lower shin guard piece here that sort of hides a bunch of that, and it's just more great sculpted detail, and it's got a bit of a sheen to it on some high points to make it look like perhaps metallic components or what have you. A little bit of extra blue there to tie it all together. And you come down to these ball jointed ankles that are just absolutely awful. A ball joint is just sort of the worst way to go. They function, but it's like, why? You can see those ratchets in there, but the way they click, they sound and feel like they're gonna break. I don't like that. But they will, of course, rotate on those suckers, and they tilt a little by virtue of it being a ball. Really nice detail. They're hard to look at, man. These are some gross feet. I'm sorry. It's got this pointy thing back here, a little dew claw. He's got little dew claws.
What's a dew claw?
And really, really great paint work. I'm just really astounded by that. That's so cool. Peg holes on the bottoms of the feet, and a little bit of extra paint and texture there as well. Just going whole hog into the accessory section. Here he is with the talons and the splayed mandibles. Let's get a little closer to that. They've got this nice wet look they've used on the inside there. Make that look like a thing, and this jaw works a little bit to keep up with all of this craziness that's happening. These pop on and off pretty well. I kind of flake that off. Otherwise, I mean, it's not like they're really gonna fall off. You kind of have to get that angle right, pull the thing. Don't look at that. Here in Talon Zone, these are just these great big, nicely detailed blades hit with metallic paint. See, other companies, it does exist. And they just slot handily into here. It's not a huge thing. I think it's probably for the best that they can flake off so easily, just so that you don't break them, so they don't break. Because he does come with a set of interchangeable hands. So you could have a set of fists or a set of open hands, and they are all done with the same level of care and detail as the rest of it. So cool. Who makes a fist like that? That's weird, right? I don't know. He does. I don't know that guy. But I have already broken one of the claws here, so be careful. It was almost effortless. I just kind of pushed a little too hard on the side. But I do have an extra set, and no one's going to notice, with all the claws and all the teeth and all of the talons all coming at you. He also comes with the batteries and the light up feature. We don't want to neglect to mention that again because it is rad. The thing is, as you might expect from a lot of NECA stuff, these hands are really a pain to remove. I would just not even, if it's not that big of a deal to you, you apply a little too much force and you snap those little talons in. It's not a huge deal to me. It's enough for me for the video to say to you guys, it's typical pain in the ass NECA swappable parts. Not at all like the new Last Ronin stuff though, which is smooth and sexy. Not that this guy's not sexy, but you know what I mean. What was that? The NECA Toys Huey Stonefish stands just over 11 inches tall. Let's see that next to some other toys. Here he is next to the Marvel Select Meat Master Hulk and the NECA Toys Super Shredder.
Oh, you're really shredding me.
Here he is next to the Marvel Legends Retro Carded Hose Beast and the Mafex Black Costume Spider-Man. Next to the Jazzwares Halo Spartan Collection Master Chief and the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Book of Boba Fett Throne Room Boba Fett. Boba Fett. And finally, here he is next to the McFarlane Toys, DC Multiverse, Death Metal Darkfather, and the Marvel Legends Morning Coffee, mostly Bucky, Cap, Deadpool. Okay, this thing is an absolute unit. You can see from the sculpt and the paint, this is just top-notch NECA stuff. Also, though, if you have experience with NECA toys, it is big and crusty. Those are a couple of good words. It's kind of funny to me. McFarlane gets a lot of flack and NECA gets a lot of love, but they are remarkably similar in a lot of ways. More so than it is to say like a Hasbro product or something, Big, crusty, crazy, stiff joints, and, you feel like you're going to break it. I would recommend heat. When I bought my quarter scale Ninja Turtles from NECA, I bought a blow dryer with those suckers. You know what I mean? Some of these, just the regular movement feels like it's breaking. That's frickin' crazy. The ball joints at the ankles are god-awful, too. I like the overall aesthetic, but that's more like the design team for that video game from back in the day. But I like how they've recreated it here. The blue looks really nice, this light hue, this sort of dead, desiccated, desecrated flesh that the poor thing is wearing. They've corralled him and weaponized a predator. Depending on how big a fan you are, I gotta factor the price into my recommendations. The base price of this thing is some ludicrous like $60 thing. Toys are going up and up and up, and no one is over here looking at NECA and what they're trying to charge you for these things. If you could find it cheaper, all day. If you're a big fan of their Predator stuff, I would recommend it at the base price. You're used to eating that anyway, you know what I'm saying? But this is perfectly fitting. It doesn't have that nice, newer feel of like their last Ronin figures. Just smooth and creamy. This big bladed bad boy is definitely carving out a spot in my collection. And I really appreciate you guys carving out some time for me. This stuff means a lot to me, to be here, to do this thing. So if you're at all interested and you want to see more, and you don't want me to like die somewhere alone in the cold, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'm doing stuff all the time here, like these videos right here. Check those out. Check one of those out. We'll do this again. Thanks.
You should take a closer look at those predators.